Howdy mates, good morning. How are y'all doing today? It is Sunday, December 18th, 2022, and I'm going to talk just a little quieter just because we're in a natural area which tends to host a lot of wildlife, so I'm just trying to keep it a little more what you call toned down. But for part of today's visit, I'm actually over at the Highlands Hammock State Park, which is based in Sebring, Florida. So you figure we're a bit closer to the central portion of the state. And a portion of the park is known for their cypress swamps. For those of you, of course, not as familiar with what a swamp really refers to, it's essentially a wetland that has forestry within it. So some of the bald cypress, that we do see all around us, some of these have to be a couple of 100 years old, or even a few. Then, of course, nearby, we have our famous cypress knees, which are a common feature. Now, of course, there's much debate about what exactly the cypress knees are used for, but there's a couple of proposals. One of them is they're used as a source of stability for the tree, or for another, they're even used as a way to provide water. So, like, great example of another plant that behaves very similar to that is black mangroves. However, though, we really don't know the actual function of these knees. And for another, cypress knees actually take a long time to grow because they may only grow maybe up to a centimeter each year. So given how tall these are, like a few feet, these have to be hundreds of years old. Of course, bald cypress is distinctive in their large buttress, and you cannot lie. You other birds can't deny. You like that little joke I put in there with the song? Oh, goodness. Yeah, you can see some poison ivy growing up along the trunk here. You see, back in the pioneering days, bald cypress was a highly sought after tree because of its resiliency against, natural disasters, and the fact that the wood itself is very rot resistant. So, in other words, bald cypress is a very durable wood, and it's also pretty good to work with. So you figure railroad ties, buildings back in the day, much of it was used from bald cypress. However, though, in 1930, the property owners of this area recognized its significance in terms of its value. And so, initially, the city of Sebring actually wanted to keep this park protected. And just so you know, in 1930, the Florida State Park system wasn't even incorporated yet. That wasn't until 1935. So nowadays, this park encompasses up to 9,000 acres, which is a lot. That's a lot of land. So in 1931, an organization that was actually started by FDR, it's known as the Civilian Conservation Corps, also known as CCC. They came here. They actually are responsible for constructing some of these boardwalks that we're walking on, and even some of the facilities too. So fast forward a little bit. It's 1935. The Florida State Park system is finally incorporated. And this is essentially one of the very first state parks that came into existence. At least with the state park system anyways. This place has always existed. So, just, wow. You can just see its sheer demonstration of a little bit of sheet flow right now. And you can even see, too, like, on the bark here. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there is some indication of how high the water has been in the past. Hey, how you doing? So definitely in these cypress swamps, the water level tends to vary quite a bit, depending on the wet season and the dry season. Unfortunately, right now it's quite low at the moment. But this is also complete black water too. So you can't even see what is in it right now. So for all we know, there could be a gator right beneath me. Last time I was here, I actually had a very fascinating encounter with one. It was probably a decent 12-footer. So here is, of course, the famous catwalk that is actually recognized by the National Register of Historic Places. Because there's really no other park that does something like this. So, I'm just saying, you guys, if you haven't been, I would highly recommend. I mean, as I said before, this is one of the oldest state parks that have been incorporated in Florida. And it truly gives you a feel of old Florida prior to development. So you have a chance to really see, like, the hammock type of habitat down here. So you'll get to see a variety of wildlife. So I'm just gonna take my good old sweet time. Try to see if I can spot anything. And I figured too, I wanted to see this portion of the park first, just because as it progresses into the day, it's going to get busier. And so I wanted to try coming here first before it gets too busy. But I will say, in the past, I have observed that a lot of people keep their talking to quite a minimum. And this park holds a special place, too, in my heart. My Uncle Jay used to live in Sebring for the longest time, from like 2007 to 2016. And we used to come here during our visits. So you could say it was this state park that really gave me my first glimpse into wild Florida, besides visiting Cocoa Beach or Daytona back in the day. So it's always a pleasure to be out here. All right, you guys, take care.